What if Doctor Who hadn't been axed in 1989? That's something many have tried to get at, and now it's my turn. I'll be going through this concept at the rate of one season per episode. These videos are based on information released by the BBC and everything said by Andrew Cartmel, J&T, Sylvester McCoy, Ben Aaronovitch, and some other people. DWM issue 255, that one from 1997 about what if Doctor Who wasn't axed, Big Finish, The Virgin New Adventures and the TV movie, with a lot, and I mean a lot, of guesswork. Season 32 would have been Griffiths' last season as the Doctor. It would also been the end of Bernice and Henrik Aaronovitch, and Garwood would however carry on as producer and script editor. It would also see the start of the Doctor's new companion, Dr. Grace Holloway. In Empire City on the planet Ariel, it's time for the annual Tragedy Day, when the privileged few celebrate their generosity to the masses. But this year, something is different. Hideous creatures infest the waters around an island that doesn't officially exist. Assassins arrive to carry out a killing that may endanger the entire universe. A being known as the Supreme One tests horrific weapons, and a secret order of monks observe the growing chaos. 5 minutes after they arrive on Ariel, the TARDIS crew know they want to leave, but Henrik is imprisoned in a sinister refugee camp, and Bernice and the Doctor are in the custody of the brutal police gang. There is no way out. This would have been the first 6-part episode of the series, debuting in July 1995. We're more focused now on exploration of space and new worlds than the traditional Doctor Who story. The main TV show they were competing against was Star Trek at this time, so that caused this story to be more in line of a Star Trek Next Generation story. The Doctor is pursuing a master criminal. The trail leads to Peladon, a desolate world once home to a barbaric feudal society. Now the Galactic Federation is attempting to bring prosperity and civilization to the planet, but not all Peladonians support the changes, and when ancient relics are stolen from their citadel, the representatives of the Federation are blamed. The Doctor suspects the Ice Warrior delegation. Before long, the Time Lord himself is arrested for the crime and sentenced to death. Elsewhere, the interplanetary mercenaries are bringing one of the galaxy's most evil artifacts to the Peladon. Apparently, on the Doctor's instruction, Henrik is pursuing a dangerous mission on another world, and Bernice is getting friendly, perhaps too friendly, with the Ice Warriors she has studied for so long. The players are making the final moves in their devious and lethal plan, but for once, it isn't the Doctor's. The story would have been a return to the planet Peladon last seen in the early 70s. It would also mark the return of the Ice Warriors last seen in Season 27's Ice Time. This story would also be very similar to a lot of Star Trek stories, to the point where it's almost plagiarism. The Dalek civil war over, the Daleks have focused their efforts on conquering other planets. In the late 51st century, the Daleks are invading the planet Stoke-Rung 9. However, the Doctor is found by the Daleks in a suspended animation chamber deep underneath the capital city, with no memory of who he is. Meanwhile, Henrik and Bernice are stuck on the other side of the planet working in the Resistance. What's happened to the Doctor, and will his lack of memory cause others harm? Maybe even those closest to him. This would have been Bernice and Henrik's last story, and also would have marked the return of the Daleks. It would have been very similar to Mind Warp in a way, that the Doctor has been brainwashed into working with the enemy, and he ends up turning Bernice and Henrik into Daleks themselves. He only gets his memory back after that fact, and it turns out that Davros orchestrated the whole event. It's New Year's Eve 1995, and Dr. Grace Holloway comes to work that morning to find the body of a scarred mutant, Henrik, in his raw Dalek form, dying. A stranger calling himself John Smith is stalking her, and Grace doesn't know what to do. Why is Henrik here? And why does John Smith appear from behind every corner? What caused this? And is there a deeper meaning behind it? This would have been the first story of the new companion, Dr. Grace Holloway, played by Daphne Ashbrook. It would have marked the beginning of the end for Griffiths, and would have also tied up what happened to Henrik and Bernice nicely from the last story. In the end, Grace becomes his companion, and they leave in the TARDIS. It has been many years since the Doctor set foot on Khan, and there is evil at work. Someone wants the Doctor dead, and someone has set up a big game of mousetrap for the Doctor and Grace to play. Every single event has been carefully planned, and it will lead to one simple conclusion, and the sisterhood can only make it worse by bringing out the body of the Doctor's greatest guilt. This would have been Griffiths' final story in a 6-part epic. The Sisterhood of Khan would have returned, so would have Anthony and his master, and also Henrik as well. Well, he would have only been a dead body, but the Sisterhood would have used him to channel the Doctor's guilt. The Master and the Sisterhood would work together to quote-unquote help the Doctor by forcing him to regenerate, telling him that he cannot be the Doctor in a guilt-stricken body. He needs a new lease of life, someone who can be the Doctor again. The Sisterhood forced the Doctor to regenerate into his ninth incarnation, who is Paul McGann. Well, he was surprised by that. No, I don't think anyone was. Anyway, next up is season 33, the 9th Doctor, Paul McGann.